Bueno, ya estamos de regreso con mi querido Drake Bell, Drake Campana, como algún día dijeron que se había cambiado, pero nunca se cambió, fue una broma. You were just kidding when you say about Campana, because there was notes on the newspaper.
Especially in the U.S. I mean, everyone was saying, oh, he changed his name and moved to Mexico and all of this. I was just on the airplane and I was joking around. I was like, how do you say bell in Spanish? Oh, campana? Oh, okay. Soy Drake Campana. Like, it was just a joke. And then everyone took it as like I legally changed my name. It was just unbelievable. But that's you know, it's interesting because when I was working in Hollywood, there was a big amount of time where there was no social media, there was no YouTube, Twitter, all of this, Instagram, and it's interesting to have both sides where you make a joke and all of a sudden just the rumor mill and all the rumors start happening and circulating around you and you're going, wow, I gotta be careful.
Yes, because there's a lot of gossip, news that they live about that, and they're just searching about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, okay. After that popsicle TV commercial, where did you start about sitcoms, about acting?
I started working more, a lot of commercials, everything.
And earning money.
Yeah.
What did you did with that money?
Well, it's interesting because the perception of, you know, you see somebody on TV, they did a commercial, oh, they must live in a mansion in LA now. And this was a big issue, especially when I started working on Nickelodeon and Drake and Josh. And, you know, you see somebody, they have their own show, well, they must be rich and buying cars and living in mansions. But the reality of it is, taxes are very high. So we're spending
almost 40%.
50% of our money on taxes. Then I have 15% going to a manager, 10% going to an agent. And then if we're at the point where we're on a show or something, we're hiring publicists. We have to pay for headshots. We have to get, gas to get to audition. I mean,
there's so many expenses.
There's so many expenses that at the end of the day, you're not really, there's not some big pot of gold that's being stashed away. It's very, very small amounts. And unfortunately, eventually, when I started working on Nickelodeon, we didn't get residuals on Nickelodeon.
Okay.
So where on network TV, shows like Malcolm in the Middle or 2.5 Men or Home Improvement, all these, Friends, they get residuals every single time the show's played or the show's sold. All around the world, they're getting paid. But for us, we got paid the week of work.
Yes.
And which was not
just one.
I mean, it was a big sum for, being
for kids, for teenagers,
being 15, and it was a large sum. But again, taxes, agency fees, management fees, rent, living in an apartment, all of this, and and we didn't work 52 weeks out of the year. We only did 13 episodes, 26 episodes. So there were times we only did 6 episodes. So there wasn't a steady stream of income.
Yes.
You had to stretch this out and make it last for the whole year.
Of course.
So it's interesting when because I get asked that question a lot, like, well, what'd you do with the money, And there just, in our case, there just wasn't this huge amount of money. I did start working later. I was able to buy a house, but when you're so young, you don't understand the responsibility that goes into that. You don't understand that you have to keep up with a mortgage and you have to do this. And there's just so much.
At what age did you buy
I bought my house when I was 19 or 20.
Wow.
And so.
Cheers.
Yeah. Lost it all by 30.
I want to work at Nickelodeon or not?
No, you don't. You definitely
We're going to
don't.
talk about it.
But so yeah, and especially not having the tools on how to manage your money or having people around you that you trust and you realize that you shouldn't have trusted. So yeah, there was a lot of ups and downs financially. I went bankrupt at a very young age, and that was traumatic in itself. A lot of life lessons, a lot of things to learn along the way.
Did you have a moment that you get crazy about the money?
Oh my! I'm 20 minutes ago. No, I mean there was definitely. It's a never-ending struggle of trying to make ends meet and keep it and because also you're working in a job that doesn't have any, a normal job you go and you're like, okay, I'll start in this position, hopefully I'll work my way up the ladder, maybe get promoted, I have a steady income, I can budget accordingly. But with entertainment, you don't know when your next job's coming. You don't know if you're going to book the next you could book a movie and then not work for 3 years.
Yes.
So
it's really hard.
It's very, very hard to figure out how to budget and make this money last. And especially when you get it at a young age, you imagine that it's just always going to be there. Like, this is my life now, and more will come and more projects will come. And so I can spend copious amounts of money on things to have fun. And, I want that car. Okay. But you don't realize, like, hold on, you really need to focus on every penny that comes in and where it's going and who's it being paid to and what's left over for you. Because the other thing, you book a show and you're like, oh, this is my pay for the week. Okay, I'm going to go buy this. And then you're like, wait a minute. That's not what you're getting. That's just your gross income. Like, you have to figure out what's left over for you and then budget according to that.
Yes.
And so getting that at such a young age, it's hard to, I didn't go to school for business. I didn't have so there's a lot of traps that you can find yourself in.
Yes, of course. I guess all that stuff happened to a lot of kids that start really, really, really early in this media.
Yeah.
So when was your first sitcom or your first?
I was doing like guest spots on shows like Home Improvement, Drew Carey's show. I was doing a lot of guest spots, and then I got an audition for a show called The Amanda Show, and I grew up watching Nickelodeon, and that at the time.
With your father?
Yeah. Well,
so how do you get there?
Well.
So at first you watched it on TV, and after you were there.
And then it was like a dream. I mean, I was on set. I was like, wow, Nickelodeon. I mean, this is all I've wanted to do. Like, this is what I wanted to, where I wanted to be. And
you make an
audition?
Yes.
Yeah. So I did an audition, and I had to come up with. It was a comedy show like Saturday Night Live, where you had to play a bunch of different characters. And they asked me to come in with 3 original characters, and had to write the material myself. But I had already been doing so many voices, and I loved that. This was a dream, and I loved sketch comedy. And so I came in with like 28 different characters, and just did
that division?
Yeah, and just went boom, 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 boom with all these different characters, and got the call back. Eventually, booked the show.
Of course.
And it was really cool because Amanda had been on a show called All That prior to the Amanda Show. And she was a star to me. Yes. I mean, I grew up watching her, and getting the opportunity to now play alongside her I was just in heaven, and it was a really great time. And we were filming on the Paramount studio lot, which has so much Hollywood history, and I am fascinated by the history of Hollywood. And so I would walk around the set. You're walking down one area, and then you make a right, and all of a sudden you're in New York. All the buildings and all the houses and everything, and you're just like, this is amazing. And we had bicycles, and we'd ride around all of the set and movie star. I mean, it looked like a movie when you see the back lot.
Yes, all the back lots.
Movie stars and cameras and lights and a movie shooting over here and a show shooting over here and all the trailers and it was heaven. And me and my dad had a really close relationship at that time, and we just couldn't believe that and that was the dream, was to not have to audition every day and go work on a show for 1 week and then go back to auditioning. I was finally a regular on a show and working every week, and so it was a really, really great time. But that was the first show that I was a regular on.